Hey YouTube! In this video I want to talk about the late 90s through early 2000s. Now, I don't remember much from the late 90s because I was barely born during that time, but the parts that I do remember, I remember it was a much better time than it is now. And the reasons why was because, simple, life was much easier because I was a little kid, so I didn't know anything about the real world or what it's like to be an adult. And that was a time where I feel that the best Disney movies were out. And this was before the time, of course, when, those stupid Hannah Montana, High School Musical, all those little movies came out, from 2007 to now. And this is just my opinion. I mean, I personally believe that Disney was better during that time, but I remember it was like in 2000, 2001, 2002 when I remember I would watch the movie Tarzan a lot. I have it on DVD and I haven't even watched it since then, but I remember I would watch a lot of Disney movies and I wouldn't watch them for a long time because I eventually stopped watching Disney movies at 9 or 6 years old, I can say. And the ones I remember watching were, besides Tarzan, was Peter Pan, Snow White, like the princesses. But I remember also that I didn't even watch the movies because I would like the special features, like, they had the little games on there. And so other movies I remember was Inspector Gadget, Max Cable's Big Move. I love that movie. Um, and there's many others. I also grew up on these movies that I think were like teen movies that were the best of the early 2000s compared to now where you get these cheesy remakes of just teenagers who are like what drinking. It just has no value in them. But I'm talking about like the movies like um from the 80s there was Fast Times and the John Hughes movies and all those, but the ones that I liked were American Pie. American Pie. I have the 3-pack. I like these movies since I was 9. Scary Movie. I grew up on this movie and Scary Movie 2. And this is my favorite, Fear. Now, those movies I like compared to the movies they make now that have a similar story. Those movies will always be a classic compared to the ones they make now, and that's just my opinion. And I wish I could remember the 2000s, but since I was just a little toddler, I can't remember. But the things I remember, that was when Britney Spears was in style, when J-Lo was in style, and they had their clothing line. And I remember um like the Mary Kate and Ashley, all those other, the stars that had their own fashion line. And I remember I was just a little kid, and I remember um they would have them at like Mervyn's, like the store Mervyn's when it would exist. I don't know if the Mervyn store exists in other parts of the world, but I know we've had Mervyn's for forever. Like I don't remember when I closed down like 2008 or 9 or before that, but I remember that was like the one of the best stores ever. And so they would sell like their clothing lines, and I remember me being disappointed because I could never fit into the clothes because I was chubby. And I remember McDonald's. And McDonald's at the time, what I liked about McDonald's is, now just talking about it right now just makes my mouth water. And even though I do not like McDonald's whatsoever, but I remember I would always get the chicken nuggets with the sweet and sour sauce, and I would get the little Happy Meals. And inside the Happy Meals at the time, they would have a lot of Disney toys, like from the movies, and then I just love those toys so much. And you know, I know they would sell like the cups from California Adventure or whatever. I also remember playing with the puzzles at the time, like um the Mattel brand puzzles, and those were so much fun to play with. I remember my mom bought me a whole bunch from Target. She bought me Rugrats, Barbie, Bratz, Little Mermaid, The Disney princesses, especially Disney princesses. No, I wasn't a big fan of Disney princesses, but I remember doing those puzzles. And so they were just so much fun. Um, if I were to go back in time, I would go back to 1999, from anywhere from the late 90s to 2000s, because it seemed as like I remember I was just a little kid and I remember life was just so much better for me back then, even though I had no clue what the real world was like. And I remember back in 2010, I would always, I would weird people out because I would, tell them that I want to go back to the year 2000 and, you know, just go back in time. And so I remember 2010. I mean, it was I was still in junior high, and I remember that was when people were starting to wear the skinny jeans, and all those like hip hop artists started coming out with those songs. I didn't even like those songs, by the way. I wasn't even into the culture. I was more into the culture, like, I don't know if you could say culture, but the fashion style, there you go. The fashion style that people would wear back in the 2000s. And this is another reason why I didn't fit in with people, with my peers. And I already discussed this whole topic of fitting in one of my other videos, so I don't want to change the focus of this video too much. But yeah, basically, if I were to go back in time, I would go anywhere from 1996 until, yeah, I mean, I wish I was born 10 years before my birth date so that way I could experience when all these movies that I talked about come out, and I didn't have to live in the generation now where a bunch of these cheesy, stupid remakes of American Pies or any of those movies, like related to mention TV shows too. Um, like I remember I would watch Disney Channel a lot, and they had a lot of good shows, and that was before Hannah Montana, those other shows they play now that I don't even get. I remember I would watch those all the time, like Lizzie McGuire, Phil the Future, and like I remember they had the Disney Channel original movies, and it was like Disney Channel was so much better back then. Like I remember I was obsessed with Lizzie McGuire. I was so obsessed with her. Like I would get all her toys, I would get her puzzles. I even ordered her, her DVDs. Like I just liked her so much. Like, even my mom knew I liked her, so every time my mom would see Lizzie McGuire things out there, she would buy them for me. And so that was just like back when I feel that Disney Channel was better back then.